Great. So for today's agenda, we're going to have a short introduction and a quick overview, and we're going to dive into what everybody's been excited and waiting for, which is the demo of the new features for ABM Campaigns. And then we're going to have a couple of use cases from our head of customer growth. So she's going to be going over a couple of the use cases to illustrate just how awesome these features have been to some of our customers. And at the end of the session, we are going to have a QA. So please feel free to post your questions using the participant feedback section located on the lower left of your of the platform. Okay, so today we have David Brutman. He is our Chief Product Officer here at Folloze, along with Aloni, who is our Head of Customer Success. They will be your two main speakers today, and they have some really exciting stuff to show you during the session. So again, I mentioned that there's a couple of housekeeping. Mentioned earlier, please don't forget to post all of your questions using the participant feedback section, and we will, at the end of the presentation, we will go ahead and answer all those questions. The session will be recorded and will be available to all registrants and participants. And please feel free to tweet during live tweet during the session. We only ask that you use the following hashtag, which is hashtag ABM Campaigns. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to David.
Hello, good morning to the West Coast folks, and good afternoon to the East Coast folks. And I also see a few people joining us from Europe, so good evening to you. I'm excited to share our new product release focused on ABM Campaigns. But in order to give a little bit of context to what it is, I'd like to present a few slides, and I'll show you a demo of the capabilities. I'll start first with describing what is ABM automation, because this essentially is the overarching topic. One of the things, or the foundation for successful ABM in our minds is, first of all, to be very goal-driven in the way that you communicate with your top accounts. So these are your high-value accounts, your top stakeholders, and you really want to be very relevant in your communication to them, very educational. We use the term meaningful, and really think about value-driven or value progression in terms of the value that you as a seller and as a vendor provide to your accounts. The other side, it needs to be human. So in this case, it's not a marketing automation. It's really more of a marketing and sales joint automation, where the seller needs to be in the front line and give that human touch representation. So that's kind of one pillar of ABM automation. The second one is really around the operational side. This is the collaboration between marketing and sales needs to be very unique here. And one of the approaches that we bring into the market is very smooth workflow, where marketing really orchestrates the campaign, the experience, the content, and sales is the one that is engaging with the end customers. We'll show you how we do that in a minute through the demo. And then the third pillar is really, how do you scale that not to your only top 50 customers, but your next 500 and 5,000 accounts, and across global teams that are distributed, and some of our customers have implemented that level of scale. Moving on, what is ABM Campaigns? So essentially, think about them as highly personalized campaigns that could fit a certain prospect or a customer or an account. They could be all-bound campaigns. So whether it's an outbound email campaign or an inbound campaign coming from an ad or a social or from a website, it all is routed to kind of the same campaign. One of the interesting aspects is what we call send on behalf. And that's really one of the key capabilities in this release. It's the ability for marketing to send a campaign on behalf of a seller. Now, the seller could choose to participate as much as they want, he or she. They can either kind of auto-approve it, so marketing can actually send the campaigns on their behalf with no touch from the sellers. They can only see the analytics when engagement by prospects actually happens, or they can approve it. And it's really their choice depending on the use case. And then the account analytics is what really is presented back to sellers to know how engaged is the account, who are the people that engaged, what are the opportunities to continue and develop that account, as well as the analytics that goes back to marketing. And the last point is really it needs to be very easy. And one of the things that we're really happy about that those campaigns can be created in minutes, and their scale is pretty huge. So you'll see an example of that. Easy to create means if you have a need, you can spin off a campaign. It's as easy as, say, sending an invitation to your birthday party, like an invite type of ease of use. I'll move on and present a few of the perspectives of the key stakeholders in the workflow. So let's start from the customer. They're really the kings in this workflow. What they have is highly personalized experience. It's actually auto-personalized. So that means that they get the experience based on their profile and the profile of their company. What that means on the back-end side is that this is all happening automatically. You don't need to customize it for each and every account. It just happens. And the other side is this is really a journey of curated content that fits the customer use case, the pain point, the industry, delivered by the sellers, and it's highly engaging and interactive. From a marketing perspective, it looks like it's almost like as you can see, it's a single touch or a multi-touch campaign that can be created and could be either sent by marketing on behalf of sales or can enable sellers to do that themselves. Very easy to do. From a sales perspective, this is really kind of a schematic way of thinking about the send on behalf. So a campaign manager, which could be a field marketer, is coming up with a campaign and sends it out to the prospects through their sales reps channel. You can think about it this way. It's sent on behalf, and the magic is that it could be sent from their mailboxes, whether it's Gmail or Office 365 or Microsoft Exchange. And as I mentioned before, the sellers can choose how much do they want to participate in authoring and in approving the campaign as it goes out. Then it's actually being sent to the prospect, so it looks like a human interaction coming from the salesperson, plus the board itself, the experience itself has the name and the contact card of the salesperson, and then the analytics is kind of fed back. So the account analytics is presented back to the sales reps, but the ABM campaign overall analytics is presented back to the campaign manager. So talking about smooth workflow between marketing and sales. How does it look from a seller perspective? Very simple. They get an email and they can choose whether to approve the campaign or to review and make changes on it. So it's really simple workflow. And what's exciting is once people engage, they start, the analytics is starting to be collected for each and every ABM campaign. It could be analytics on the overall campaign, so how many people engaged, what is their level of engagement over time, and specifically what content has been consumed. So this is more on a high level for the marketeers. For the prospects, they can see specifically for the prospect that they send a campaign to, how much engagement, all the way to specific tracking of a specific prospect, as you see on the right side. Before we move on to the demo, I'll just want to mention that we typically think about outbound campaigns as kind of ABM, but essentially you can implement that experience also for inbound campaigns. It could be campaigns that are promoted through an ad or through some routing from your website, and it essentially is routed to the same experience with highly personalized content, highly personalized message, and with the sales owner presented. So here is kind of a quick example of a website visitor that landed on the website. We, via a reverse IP lookup, essentially you can map it to a specific account, and using that, offer them, that visitor, to navigate to their account-specific journey. And using that, they're essentially getting their own story. To be highly educational and can fit their specific problem area. And also automatically map the salesperson who's responsible for this account. So you can think about it as a fast pass for the visitor to the specific account experience. So after setting up a little bit of the stage here, what I'd like to do is run through. I'd like to run through an example, through a demo that kind of shows this working live. So this is a board that a company that is called Equitier has built. We're not seeing it yet. Let me try and share that again. Seems like.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. So this is a board that was built specifically for the healthcare industry. It's by a company called Big Data Equitier. It's a fictitious company that is in the big data space. And essentially what you can see that once the board has been built, there are no campaigns that have been sent. We're going to kick off a campaign here and make a decision whether this campaign, and I'm a marketeer in my capacity currently, is sent on I'm the sender. Am I sending it on behalf of a seller? Or in this case, a little bit more sophisticated, sending it on behalf of multiple sellers. In this case, what I can do is I can upload the list, CSV file, with all the recipient information. Now for each one of the recipients here, you can see that there is a seller that is mapped. So essentially, what I'm doing here is I'm mapping recipients to sellers, and then each one of the group of recipients that are mapped to a certain seller will be considered a campaign. I can change the message to messages specific for that campaign. I can save that email as a template and essentially send it out. Now, the interesting part is since I've just created a campaign that is sent through 5 different senders, through 5 different mailboxes of the specific senders, what has been created are 5 different trackable campaigns, and you can see them here. So 5 campaigns, 5 different sellers. 2 of them decided to auto-authorize me to send campaigns on their behalf. So you can see that they've already been sent, and I can already start tracking the analytics. One of them, which is Mark Owen, actually wants to approve the campaign before it goes out. So what I'll do is I'll show you how Mark approves it. Once Mark approves it, it'll be sent out. So in this case, I'm Mark, and I'm getting an email that says that a campaign has been submitted on my behalf. I can approve it right from here or decide to review it. If I decide to review it, I land back to the same experience, and I can, add prospects or remove other prospects that I don't want to send a campaign to. Change the message here. I want to add a little bit of a holiday greeting, and approve and send that. Now, once it's being approved, it's going out to the prospect. So as you can see, it gives the prospect, the seller, the power to impact the campaign, but it's not really intrusive. So think about a campaign, and we just have a customer doing it right now, where they have 80 sellers, and one campaign like that has been created on behalf of those 80 sellers with almost no touch by the sellers. So it's a very simple functionality, but there is a very powerful mechanism that works behind the hood to group the recipients by seller and send it from their mailbox. And as a seller, I'll start getting notifications on engagement once the actual customer engages with it. I want to show you just one last thing, and this is the analytics. So in this case, you can see that the campaign that Mark Owen has approved already has been sent, and this is the engagement. You can see engagement with the email, with the board. But this is just kind of a very simple analytics. I want to go in and check a little bit further. And what I see here is the named list of the people that this has been sent to, their level of engagement from clickers that actually press the call to action, all the way to highly engaged users like super viewers. And then the aggregated analytics here that shows you the breakdown of the engagement over time, the email conversion, and what items the prospects have viewed. Now, the really fun thing as a marketeer is to be able to see specifically by seller, to see the engagement for each seller. And if you think about it, what that means is that I'm able to essentially answer the question, how much contribution did I as a marketeer provide to that specific seller? So I can measure marketing contribution to the pipeline of that specific seller. In this case, I'm going to also look at it holistically. So just to summarize, very simple to send a campaign that has a large scale on behalf of sellers and really require very little from the sellers in terms of contribution, but then they can actually see the analytics once the engagement happens. This is an example of a named tracking of Ben Matt. They can see specifically what actions did Matt perform, which items did he share and view, did he share it with someone else, and in this case, he also performed the call to action. So this is just a glimpse. If you want to see more, would be happy to schedule a demo and show you kind of the full process. I'll hand it off to Adi that will show us a little bit of a few examples of how customers are actually using this functionality today.
Great, thanks, David. It's really exciting stuff. So we're going to look today at two examples of ABM campaigns with Folloze. The first example is from AudioCode. AudioCode is a leading provider of converged business voice solutions, and they have been an avid Folloze users for quite some time now. There's an interesting partner play at AudioCode. They are very heavily using their channels, and this campaign was created to educate the partner community about AudioCode. So the content is specifically tailored and relevant to partners, and the goal here is to stay top of mind with partners. Some of them sometimes have hundreds of vendors that they represent, and that's a really good way for AudioCode to stand out. In this campaign, it was created by the U.S. field marketing team and then delivered by their partner account managers so that they can take advantage of existing relationships between those account managers and the partners. Both sides, as David showed us in the demo, enjoy the analytics. Marketing is looking at the overall success of the campaign and their contribution to pipeline, whereas the partner account managers has access to their own list of partners and who exactly was engaged with the content, and then being able to have really relevant conversation with those people. Our next example happens to also come from the telecom industry. And what we're seeing here is a board that was created for a prospecting campaign. It is personalized to each sales rep with their own photo and contact information always on top of that board. This campaign was sent by about 30 sellers. And in this case, the field marketing team staged the campaign. They created a board. They pulled lists of targets from predictive tools that they're using in their marketing staff. And they crafted the campaign email outreach. And then the emails were sent by the sales executives, making it, again, as we go back to this point, in ABM, a really personal human-to-human interaction. The follow-up from the activity on the board and the people who are actually monitoring the activity, in this case, were the telereps. And they then qualified those prospects and passed on the qualified ones to their sales executives. So a really sophisticated structure of the campaign here, being able to show each one their relevant view in the analytics. And a few things are, I think, really exciting to me when I'm looking at those two examples and thinking about the new functionality. One is that until now, sellers needed to upload their own lists, and from now on, marketing will be able to really take pretty much all the heavy lifting on the campaign side, and all sellers have to do is review, approve, and hit send. And this is making this a very good productivity improvement for this entire structure. Then we have end-to-end visibility here. So if you're thinking about it, marketing has the visibility into one, sales activity, and two, the pipeline that is created in real time. From the seller's point of view, they have visibility into their accounts, again, in real time. They can see what their contacts did on the board and act upon those insights. And lastly, I think this is giving the sales a great marketing coverage that is as tailored as they need per their specific accounts. Let's talk some numbers here. So if we're looking at results from those campaigns that we just highlighted, so we're seeing great content engagement on the board, a testament to the relevance of the content on those campaigns. In audio code specifically, we've seen a significant increase in deal registration of 27% over the first 90 days. And deal registration was a specific focus of that campaign. So in that sense, the campaign definitely achieved its goal. And with the other example, we've seen a significant amount of $1.6 million in pipeline that was created directly from that campaign. And
that happened in a couple of weeks, essentially.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And with those great results, I'll hand it over back to David to summarize.
Thank you. So we've seen some numbers specific to the customers that Adi has shared. But in general, what we're seeing, and that's kind of the bigger trend, is we see revenue growth of more than a third, so 36% and even more than that. And that really is, you can attribute that to the level of engagement and the relationship building that such an approach, an ABM approach, is offering. We also see account conversion. So essentially, think about an account that is an early stage, awareness stage, and the ability to convert to a real conversation. We see huge pickup there. So it's 4x and even more, and it makes a lot of sense. Again, the tactics of building that engagement is very targeted. It's value driven, and therefore we see that it really intrigues accounts to collaborate and to continue the conversation as they perceive the vendor and the seller as a subject matter expert by delivering that educational curated experience. So with that, I think we'll close and maybe head it off to some Q&A questions. If you have any questions, please do.
It looks like we have a couple of questions already during the session. First question is, how does it work with other marketing tools?
Yeah, I think I can take that question. So essentially, we're fully integrated to the key marketing platforms, let it be Marketo, Eloqua, Salesforce Pardot. And the way we integrate is you essentially can track the activity, the engagement activity of the account in those marketing automation platforms. I think another point that it's worthwhile mentioning is that we have deep integration with Salesforce, so you can also record the activities of the sellers. So the emails that went out in Salesforce as activities, as well as the actual engagement by the account in Salesforce. So we're doing those two types of integrations depending on how the company's marketing and sales stack is designed. We can integrate with that.
Okay. This one looks like a two-parter. Can you apply this to your existing customers, and is this mainly to acquire new accounts?
So I'll take that question, and it's really interesting because when we think about ABM, many of us think about acquiring new accounts, but one of the greatest ways to jumpstart your ABM program is actually applying it to your existing accounts. I'm sure you have expansion goals for your existing accounts, and ABM, the same principles in ABM that work for new accounts work also for existing accounts, and applying those principles, we can definitely target our existing accounts with probably less resources and less friction than we would have with those new accounts. And we actually have a blog post on that subject.
I think you've written it, didn't you?
I think so. Yeah, so we're happy to follow up with a link to that blog post.
Yes, and then as a reminder, the board that everybody had landed to actually register for this event, we will be posting all the relevant follow-up information as well as the recording to this session as well. So another level of interaction for those of you new to Folloze to kind of get your experience and see just how interactive and engaging the Folloze board is. I think that's it for the questions today. Thank you both for doing such a great job on the session and staying within time. Thank you, everybody out there. Again, we will be sending out a follow-up with the recording of the session. Thank you so much, and everybody have a good rest of the day and week.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.